If you've been in the anime space for a decent amount of time, you've probably come across the name Osamu Tezuka. Maybe you actually know and love his works, or maybe you just heard of him in passing. And if you said no to both of those, I don't know why you're watching this video. What Toriyama was to shonen anime, Tezuka was to, well, the anime industry as a whole. He's often hailed as the godfather of anime with his creation of Astro Boy. Easily one of the first anime-like cartoons, if not the first anime. In fact, after the anime adaptation started airing in 1963, the animated series was watched by a 40% of the Japanese population that had access to a television. Astro Boy's success paved the way for many anime series, particularly those focusing on robots in space. Naturally, because of this success, some people wanted that bag. And of course, that brings us to October 2009. Imagi Animation Studios released the greatest movie of all time.
Astro Boy.
4 months later, the company filed for bankruptcy. I actually watched this as a kid years ago. I didn't know that it was based on anything, much less to such a legacy that Astro Boy has. And honestly, I loved it. Sure, it kind of has that late 2000s feel, you know, the fucking I got a machine gun in my butt, living in my basement. I still think it's worth a watch. Visually, for a 2009 movie, it holds up surprisingly well. 2009 was already a pretty packed year for movies. Regardless, I feel like Astro Boy's art style still holds up pretty nicely. Now, I won't really judge it as an adaptation just yet, since I don't really know much about Astro Boy, to be honest. I want to look at it as its own thing for a minute, and then I'll talk about if it's a good adaptation or not.
Am I an android too?
So, the film was directed by David Bowers, who only had one movie beforehand he had directed, that being Flushed Away from DreamWorks, yet another movie that I watched as a kid. And to my surprise, he also directed some of the live-action Diary of a Wimpy Kid films, including the absolute cinema that is Roderick Rules. That is such a golden movie, Jesus Christ.
Does he know about the D.O.R.E.? Huh? The door?
On the writer's side was Timothy Harris. He wrote a decent amount of movies beforehand. He was also a writer for Space Jam, so...
In 3D land?
The cast is what I really want to talk about, because I didn't realize how kind of goofy this cast is. Voicing Toby is Freddie Highmore, or as I know him as...
I am a surgeon!
Dr. Tenma, Toby's father, is voiced by, hold on. The guy from Dead by Daylight. Huh, it's a weird choice, but okay. The guy from G-Force is, Dr. Eleven. There's this random robot called Zog, who's voiced by Samuel L. Jackson. I think he's an original character. There's no reason for him to be here, but Samuel L. Jackson's cool. I don't know, the cast is kind of interesting when you think about it. So the story of the original manga and anime. There's a young boy named Tobio Tenma who lives in the distant year of 2003. In one way or another, Tobio gets into an accident that costs him his life. In the anime, it was like a car crash. In this movie, he gets fucking vaporized. Like, holy shit. Like,
Maria!
but as far as I know, this is, you know, catching up so far. So, Dr. Tenma creates a replica of Tobio. He tries to teach him how to be a boy just like his son. But when he realized that he still wasn't the same as his actual son, he got kind of crazy, and he sold Astro Boy away to a robot circus owned by a guy named Hamig. From here, it goes a bit different. In the original, he's found and saved by Professor Ochinimizu. In the 2009 movie, they're on like Angel Island or something. So he runs away to the surface, which is a giant junkyard, and he spends a bit of time with other kids. Hamig is in the 2009 movie, but it's less of a circus and more of a robot fighting gladiator wrestling. You can kind of see that it's getting a bit of an iffy adaptation. The rest of the movie is pretty standard. Annoying liar reveal plot, Astro goes back and sacrifices himself before fighting the villain. Movie ends with an Incredibles type cliffhanger where it sort of leads into the type of things I guess would happen in the manga or anime. From what I can tell, the fans' reception is mixed. Some loved it, some hated it. It wasn't really one way or the other. Can't say the same about it critically though. So yeah, in case it wasn't obvious, this movie flopped pretty hard. It had a $65 million budget and ended up only making $42 million. I ain't a math professor, but that sounds pretty bad. Even as far back as January of 2009, they'd already reported some financial problems. Astro Boy was easily their most ambitious project. The previous movie, TMNT for example, only had a budget of $34 million. That was a success, that made a decent amount of money. But Astro Boy was basically their last resort. And, of course, since Astro Boy clearly wasn't as successful as they hoped, they filed for bankruptcy a mere 4 months later. So why did it fail? The most obvious answer is, it wasn't really that great of a movie. In 2009, this was seen as just another kids movie. It seemed like maybe they were trying to please too many audiences. For fans of the original series, it was a pretty poor adaptation. For the general audience, it was a fun but pretty standard children's film in a year that had a pretty damn good lineup of animated films. Do I think this movie deserved to fail? Of course not. I honestly think it kind of holds up today. If you ever stumble upon it, whether it's actively looking for it or it's just random clips or YouTube shorts, give it a watch, please, for me. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe because, a little known secret, but I heard people who subscribe to this channel are totally based. And as always, get out of my house. Why are you here? I was about to go to bed, and you just broke in here to make me do a